March. As in the Roman year, so in the English ecclesiastical calendar, used till 1752, this was the first month, and the legal year commenced on the 25th of March. Scotland changed the first month to January in 1599. This month was called Martius by the Romans, from the god Mars, and it received the name Hildmanath, loud or stormy month, from the Anglo-Saxons. Days of note: March 1st, St. David; March 12th, St. Gregory; March 17th, St. Patrick; March 25th, Lady Day. A peck of dust is worth a king's ransom. So many misties in March, so many frosties in May. March borrowed from Avril 3 days, and they were ill. The first it shall be snow and sleet. The next it shall be rain and sweet and wheat. The last it shall be see a freeze. Shall guard the birds stick to the trees. March'll search ye, April try ye. May'll tell you whether you live or die ye. March hack ham. Comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. The stormy March is come at last, with wind and cloud and changing skies. I hear the rushing of the blast that through the snowy valley flies. Ah, passing few are they who speak, wild stormy month, in praise of thee. Yet though thy winds are loud and bleak, thou art a welcome month to me. For thou to northern lands again the glad and glorious sun dost bring, and thou hast joined the gentle train, and wear'st the gentle name of spring. And in thy reign of blast and storm smiles many a long, bright summer day, when the changed winds are soft and warm, and heaven puts on the blue of May. Bryant. What did springtime whisper, O ye rivulets, walking from your trance so sad, pleased to welcome fisher lad, with his little nets, speed for summer in the air, prattle for the breeze is warm, chatter by the otter's lair, bubble past the ivied farm. Wake the primrose on the banks, bid the violet ope her eyes, hurry in a flood of thanks. Underneath serener skies, what a revel's coming soon, fairies trooping o'er the leas, making magic by the moon, crowned with wood anemones. What a haunted heart the thrush nurses in the blackthorn bush, full of splendid songs to sing, cheery welcome of the spring. Spring is come. Norman Gale. How sweet the hedge that hides a cunning nest, and curtains off a patient, bright-eyed thrush, with 5 small worlds beneath her mottled breast. Though life is growing nearer day by day, each globe she loves as yet is mute, and still her bosom's beauty slowly wears away. At last the thin blue veils are backward furled, existent wakes and pipes into a bird, as infant music bursts into the world. And now the mother thrush is proud and gay. She has her cottage and her pretty young to feed and lull when western skies turn gray. A Creed by Norman Gale. March 1st. March has come in like a lamb with a warm wind and rain from the southwest. 4th. Glorious sunshine, first warm day of spring. All the skylarks up and singing in the blue. Went for a long walk, found the colt's foot and procumbent field speedwell in flower, and down at the edge of the copse where a little stream ran, on a sunny bank, I found a great many primrose roots with quite large buds in the midst of their crowns of green leaves. The celandine buds, too, were very large. Another week or two of warm weather will bring them quite out. Everywhere the birds are very active, and such a chorus of voices from every hedge and tree. 6th. Tonight a toad was discovered jumping about in the hall. It must have come in through the garden door, which had been standing open all day. Another day of bright sunshine. The leaf buds in the hedges have been making wonderful progress this last 3 days of sunshine, and the elm blossom has opened outside, showing all its little antlers and filaments. In the morning I visited the field where the daffodils grow. The buds are all standing up above the grass, standing up straight like little green lance heads among their spears of blue-green leaves. 10th. Cycled to the withy beds within a half-mile of Bushwood. It was a dull day with frequent showers of rain, so the country looked rather cold and grey. There was no sunshine to light up the ruddy blossom on the elm and alder trees. As I cycled between the hedges, I saw numbers of birds carry on their house-building operations. I went a little out of my way down the lane to Kingswood to visit the steep banks where the blue periwinkle grows. There were numbers of flowers just opening. I only found one blossom fully expanded. The beds of white violets and the bank where the white periwinkle used to grow that I had come to see were some way off the road, and I had to carry my cycle nearly a quarter of a mile down a steep, muddy ford rough set with thorns, steep muddy ford, rough set, thick with thorns, with high banks on each side. On these sheltered banks I found numbers of the small celandine blossom and the first little flowers of the little strawberry-leaved cinquefoil. Coltsfoot, Tussilogo farfera, young leaves of the hawthorn, lesser celandine, Ranunculus ficaria, common elm, Ulmus suberosa, blossom. March. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sat reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Though primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoy the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? Lines written in early spring, William Wordsworth. 10th of March. When I got to the bottom of the lane, I set my bicycle against a bank and picnicked on a fence. A beautiful jay, in all the glory of his spring plumage, flew screaming across the lane into the spinney of larch trees opposite. He seemed to resent the intrusion of a human being in such an unfrequented spot. I was glad to find the white periwinkle still trailing its wreaths on the bank, but the flowers only in bud, and the violets too were just uncurling their buds under their fresh green leaves. Among the notes of the numerous birds I recognized those of the thrush, blackbird, hedge sparrow, skylark, wren, great tit, chaffinch, greenfinch, red wagtail, and yellow bunting. The latter was specially conspicuous, perched on the top of the hedge with his bright yellow plumage, repeating his cry. One can hardly call it a song, with its last peculiar, long drawn-out note over and over again. A little bit of bread and no cheese, the country people liken it to. In Cumberland, they say it says, "Devil, devil, dinna touch me." This bird is called yeldrin and yellow yowlie in Scotland. I noticed that the white periwinkle blossoms have 5 petals, while the blue have only 4. I wonder if this is always so. 12th. After a wet, windy day, we woke this morning to a regular snowstorm. The air was full of whirling flakes, but in the midst of it all, I heard a skylark singing. 13th. Another heavy fall of snow in the night. The cold has almost silenced the birds this morning. Numbers of them came onto the lawn to be fed. The starlings and cock chaffinches look specially gay just now in their spring coats. 14th. Hard frost in the morning and bright sunshine. The sun has great power now, and he soon began to make the snow disappear in the afternoon. I went to the violet wood, and to my surprise, I found a number of glowing purple blossoms in the sheltered glacis of the wood. On the way home, I found a robin's nest in the bank of the lane. It was evidently just finished. This is the first finished nest I have seen this year. 20th. Went to the daffodil field again. The buds are just breaking into yellow. Found 2 thrushes' nests, both in holly bushes. One nest was empty. The bird was sitting on the other. She looked at me with such brave, bright eyes. I could not disturb her, much as I would have liked to peep at her speckled blue eggs. I found some of the green flowers of the moschatel. Catkins of goat willow in March, blue and white periwinkle. Chaffinch, daffodils, narcissus, pseudo-narcissus. Daffy Downdilly is come up to town in her yellow petticoat and her green gown. When daffodils begin to peer with hey the doxy o'er the dale, why then comes in the sweet of the year, and the red blood reigns in the winter's pale. Shakespeare. Daffodils that come before the swallow dares, and take the winds of March with beauty. Shakespeare. Eggs of birds which begin nesting in March. Strawberry-leafed cinquefoil. And hark, how blithe the throstle sings. He too is no mean preacher. Come forth into the light of things. Let nature be your teacher. Wordsworth. Gloomy winter's now away. Soft the westling breezes blow. 'Mong the birks the Stanley Shaw. The mavis sings Futurio. Towering o'er the Newton woods, loverocks fan the snow-white clouds. Siller saws with downy buds adorn the banks Briario. R. Tannahill. In days when daisies deck the sod and blackbirds whistle clear, with honesty joy our hearts will bound to greet the coming year. Burns. Hark, where my blossoming pear tree in the hedge leans to the field and scatters on the clover blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge. That's the wise thrush, he sings his song twice over, lest you should think he never could recapture that first fine, careless rapture. R. Browning. Then the thrushes sang and shook my pulses, and the elm's new leaves of blackbird. E. B. Browning. March 25th. Showers of snow and sleet, quite a heavy snowstorm in the afternoon. 28th. Gathered some of the young crimson catkins of the black poplar. The last few days have been very cold and dry, with keen north wind and any quantity of March dust in evidence. This morning I saw some frogs spawn, which had been brought in from a pond together with some caddis grubba in their funny little cases of sticks and straws. One grub looked very smart. He had stuck his house all over with bits of bright green rush and water plant. 31st. Cycled to Bushwood. A still grey day with beautiful dry roads. March is going out like a lamb. I did not go into the wood, which will be carpeted with primroses in a week or two's time, but I found quaint primroses. Quantities of primrose and sweet violets, both blue and white, on the banks of the fields and the roadside. I found the first dog violets I've seen in blossom this year at the top of Dick's Lane, and the cowslips are only in bud yet, but everywhere the celandine made the ditches bright, and the strawberry-leafed cinquefoil spangled the banks. I saw 2 robins and 2 blackbirds' nests, none with eggs in. I saw numbers of sweet birds as I spun along between the hedges. A tiny greenish-gray bird flashed across the road. I thought for a minute it was a warbler, but as it emerged into sight again, for a moment in the hedge, I saw it was a gold-crested wren. I have not seen any of our summer visitors yet. The wheat ear is the first to arrive in England, I believe, but that bird is not found in this part of the country. The chiffchaff is generally the first to put in an appearance here, and he is closely followed by the willow warbler. March has been a very cold month, but dry on the whole. There are 2 or 3 bright, genial days in the first week that were a little like a foretaste of summer. And these are moss cups and sweet violet, Viola adorata. Violets dim, yet sweeter than the lids of Juno's eyes, or Cytherea's breathe. Shakespeare. As violets, recluse and sweet, cheerful as daisies, unaccounted rare, still sunward gazing from a lowly seat, still sweetening wintry air. Christina Rossetti. The snowdrop and primrose our woodlands adorn, and violets bathe mid the wheat of the morn. Burns. Ye violets that first appear, by your pure purple mantles known. Sir Harry Wooton. And the spring arose on the garden fair, I like the spirit of love felt everywhere, and each flower and herb on earth's dark breast rose from the dreams of its wintry rest. The snowdrop and then the violet arose from the ground with warm rain wet, and their breath was mixed with sweet odor sent from the turf like the voice and the instrument. Shelley. And we'll read April in the next video. Do join me.